What is up, everybody? This is Shell Shock Podcast by Red Cyclone Inc. I'm Mark the Mike. I'm joined by Tenacious T.
I am in the building.
You're not technically in the building.
Well, I'm in my building. Well, my house.
Yeah.
I'm not in a building. I'm in a house, but it's neither here nor there. What's up, guys?
What is up? This is Shell Shock Podcast by Red Cyclone Inc. We are here to give you a verdict of one of my personal favorite movies of all time. Probably yours. It is.
Yeah, it's definitely up there, man. You can't really find too many movies like this.
Yeah. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. I could watch it over and over again and still love every single bit of this movie. It is a product of its time, but it still doesn't age. It ages really well because I think while you get it older and watch it, you enjoy it more. You get more laughs out of it and everything like that.
I think the city and the people in it is what makes it dated. You know what I mean? Like, you can see, like, the cars, and you can see, like, the outfits. That is it.
Yeah.
Everything else, you could put that shit out today, and it'd still be fire.
Yeah.
But we didn't even tell them what we're doing.
So we are doing the verdict of the first ever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. 1990 first came out. One of my favorites of all time. I think it's probably one of the top comic book movies of all time.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that when I was a kid, I didn't even realize that it was a comic. You know what I mean? Like, it was just everything was based off the cartoon. You know what I mean? And then just I don't even remember the real end to, like, this movie happening. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember, like, seeing trailers. I don't remember any of that. I just remember it being there, and it just, you know, just completely warping my whole childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember the steps up to it, but I remember I had the poster sitting in my room framed. The original poster, which nowadays goes for like $300-$400. You know what I mean? It's like that was a piece of, like, movie history, and I wish I knew what the hell happened to it.
Yeah.
So to this day, don't. I'm very upset.
Yeah, that honestly, that poster goes for a lot of money right now. But yeah, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, I remember seeing it. I think I saw it with my mother. My mom took me and my sister to see it, and I was blown away. I was just like, wow. Like, I heard them curse. I heard them things like that, and I was just, like, so mesmerized by this movie and how it was and how the felt was. So a little story.
The movie was dark and gritty, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for a kids, you go from, like, the 80s, early 90s, like, high-techy color, you know what I mean? Like, of what the cartoon was, you know what I mean? And then you go into a live action that is as dark as this, because the majority of it takes place in the shadows at nighttime. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's not too many scenes that they are in the daytime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like in the cartoon where they walked around in the daytime like it was nothing.
Yeah. So this movie was, it's a weird story on how this movie got made. There's a documentary called Turtle Power that came out maybe a couple years ago that kind of really captures on what the struggles they went to get this movie out, because a lot of companies did not want to take a chance on this movie. It was a little hard. I'll say it was a little ahead of its time for what the style of the movie was, and how, like, honestly, if you would have put this movie on for kids today, I don't think it would have been a kids movie.
No, I mean, I feel like kids these days, but I don't know. See, kids these days they're into a lot more brutal stuff than what we were into. You know what I mean? Like,
think about
it's not that it's brutal. Like, I feel like it's desensitized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot more today. Where back in the day, you know, we grew up off of, like, Freddy Krueger and you know, and, like, Jason Voorhees and stuff like that. So, like, we had our wits scared. You know what I mean? We knew what was adult and what wasn't. There was a clear line. Yeah. Nowadays, it's blurred. That line is so blurred.
Yeah. So, so it was, like, especially, like, everything with the warehouse. I think that warehouse scene would never be done today. unless it was like a rated closer to a rated R movie than a PG. Oh, this movie was rated PG when it first came out.
Listen, man, a whole bunch of kids skateboarding and graffitiing and smoking cartons of cigarettes like there's no tomorrow.
And drinking.
And drinking, yo, bro,
Yeah.
it's just like if that wasn't like a teenager's wet dream back in the day, you know what I mean? Like I can picture being in the late '80s, early '90s, and watching this movie and be like, yo, that shit is badass right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That made me want to grow up real quick, but then now here I am growing up, and I think like, what the hell was wrong with me?
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, this movie like had a lot of that the adult theme. It was a bit more darker than what you would usually get from the Turtles, especially because during the time the '89 cartoon started, so you kind of got more of a jokative and laughing Turtles and whatnot. Unless you knew about the comic, which most kids did not know about the comic. The comic, honestly, most kids that grew up with Turtles didn't know about the comic till later on, maybe teenage to later years.
Well, like the comics started ushering in with like the Archie comics and stuff like that.
No.
To me,
Like, oh, it's
Like,
for
that's-
you, yes.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's
Yeah.
where I remember, we already had the toy line out, and we had the cartoon series out, and then I remember that the famous the cover with Shredder on it and stuff like that. Like that's embedded in my head forever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like the original comics, I didn't even know about until I got a little bit older.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a product of its time. I honestly think like a movie like this is gonna be like. I honestly say to this day we still try to find something to recapture this feeling of what this movie did. I don't think that
Nothing.
they can. I don't think they
Nothing.
could do it. We have Seth Rogen taking a shot at it, but I don't think it's gonna be anything close to what this movie brought.
I just feel like this was a working formula. Let's get rid of the CG, man. The CG is what makes everything bad. It shows lack of like commitment and passion for what it is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they can knock it out the park if they do it live action again, man. Those suits are sitting somewhere. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like bring those old school suits back. You know what I mean? Even in that, I just watched the concert. Those concert suits were even better than the CGs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we missing here, man? Like,
Alright.
that is the formula.
Yeah. So, talking about the costumes were made by Jim Henson himself, which honestly he kind of left the project late in the middle of the project because he did not like what the movie was. He didn't like how violent the movie was.
Yeah, well, he's not really my favorite person in the world. So.
Yeah.
I was never a Muppets fan. I like Muppet Babies, but I didn't really care about Muppets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he can blow it out his ass because those suits were amazing, and I thank him for actually doing that because without those suits, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't even have that movie.
Yeah, so Jim Henson Productions did the suits. They did the suits for all first three movies. If you notice throughout the three movies, it kind of evolved a bit more animatronics and things like that. But the Jim Henson company did it. But he wasn't he wasn't a big fan of the movie, and that's what also helped. That was harder for them to get a company to trust them because the fact that Jim Henson didn't really like what they were doing. It got other companies like, yeah, if he doesn't like it, but he's still working on it, what the hell? Why are we gonna put investment money? But thank God, New Line Cinemas put their money, and it was like, yo, let's get this going.
New Line Cinema, that's the house that Freddy built, right?
Yeah,
So that makes sense. You know what I mean? It makes sense of the darkness and stuff like that. Maybe not obviously as graphic and as brutal as Freddy Krueger was, but as the years went by with Freddy started getting more funny than he was dark. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I from what I know of Jim Henson, he was very, very strict in who he let in his world.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like Jason Segel is a perfect example.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Jason Segel's been a humongous fan of the Muppets his entire life. And because he had a fully frontal nudity scene in the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall, the Henson Corporation, obviously Jim Henson's passed away at this
Yeah.
time, and his son's running the show, or his family's running the show. They almost did not let him in the Muppets movie because of that. Because they knew that somebody would recognize him and then go back, and then all of a sudden you see his penis fucking, on a show. So it's like they were very skeptical of who they let in. So, and then also you can see throughout the second and the third movie how they started dumbing down the graphicness. You know what I mean? Like the darkness, especially with the third movie. The third movie was just like a fanboy poppy kind of, you know what I mean? It wasn't really. It was like a Wishbone episode, honestly.
Yeah. But there was a lot of things going on in this movie. Also, like it actually is considered one of the highest grossing independent movies for quite some time. I think something beat it out. I forgot what movie, but it was one of the highest grossing independent movies for quite some time.
Well, rightfully so, man. Yeah. I don't remember if I saw it in the movies or not. It upsets me.
I did see it. I remember seeing it fully. That shit was
1990. Amazing. I'm 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard.
I remember certain things.
Yeah.
I remember watching Space Invaders in the movie theaters, and that movie came out a couple of years after this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that sort of had the same appeal, same feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, this movie was fantastic. Came out March 30th, 1990. It was 93 minutes long. Honestly, it does not feel 93 minutes. That movie flies by once you start watching it. Directed by Steve Barron.
26 days after my birthday.
Yeah.
So 26 days after my 4th birthday, I probably saw it in the movie theaters.
The director of the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was known for a few things. He did Coneheads in 1993. He did Avengers of Pinocchio in 1996, and he directed Billie Jean and Take On Me music videos.
The only movie I know that you said was the Coneheads movie.
Yeah. So
which was an awesome movie.
But he directed the music videos of Billie Jean and Take On Me.
Billie Jean, Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's actually that's a fun-filled fact right there.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting fact right there.
It's very. I mean, that is probably one of Michael's weakest videos, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But and me being as big Michael Jackson fan as I am, and I think I recall actually seeing Michael Jackson in a picture with the Ninja Turtles somewhere.
Yeah, he was a big fan.
I wouldn't doubt it. The guy was, he died at 50 years old and he still was a kid.
Yeah. So, I guess we give our cast.
Yeah, well.
We have Judith Hogg, April O'Neil. We have Elias Cortez. Codes is Casey Jones. I can't never say his fucking name. I know it's Elias. That's his first.
Listen, man. All we need to know, everybody needs to know, is he's not anything else but Casey Jones.
Yes, that's why I say it to him. Yo, what Chicago PD? Oh, look, it's Casey Jones.
He was in the movie Shooter. No, he's Casey Jones. Okay.
Yeah, he'll always be Casey Jones in our book.
He was the best Casey Jones, bro. Every other rendition of Casey Jones after this was just trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then he Chicago PD. He's in. I think he was in Let Me In, which was like a vampire flick. With the chick.
He's in a whole bunch, bro. He's in a whole bunch of shit.
But to this day, he is known as Casey Jones, and he will always be known as Casey Jones too.
I want to know if he knows it.
I think he does, and that's the reason why he tries to stay away from it.
We're gonna have to tag him in this cast. Like, listen, motherfucker, you can act your ass off all you want, but you are forever Casey Jones.
Yeah. We have Jay Patterson as Charles Pennington, which was April's boss. Michael Turney, which was Danny Pennington, Charles' son. We have Raymond Serra as Stern, the chief of police. We have James Sato and as Oroku Saki, the shredder. We have Sam Rockwell as the head thug. That was actually his first movie.
Listen, man, when I rewatched this a while ago, I was like, holy shit, that's fucking Sam Rockwell. You know what I mean? Like, that's Academy Award winner.
Yeah.
Coming from Ninja Turtles, and he did a good part in it. I must say.
Voice cast was Brian Toshi as Shredder, as Leonardo, Corey Feldman as Donatello, Josh Pash as Raphael. He was also inside the suit of Raphael. Robbie Rist as Michelangelo. If you remember, if you actually watched the 2012 series, he reprises his role as he doesn't reprise his role. He plays Mondo Gecko. and the 2012 series. You have Kevin Clash as Splinter. If you know Kevin Clash, he was famous for Elmo.
Okay,
And
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Muppets, but yeah.
David McCarran as Owokosaki. He was the main voice of it, and Michael McConnelly as Tatsu.
Two.
Fun note is Ernie Reyes Jr. is Donatello inside the suit, so that's something you should know.
And he
He's Kato.
played Kino.
Kino in part two.
Kino in part 2, yeah.
And his
It's like,
father.
yo, you finally, like, yo, that must have been like a stuntman's like dream. He's like,
Yeah.
yo, you did so good in the first one. We're gonna award you with like a starring role.
Yeah.
Like the whole second movie's based after you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now little fact about me. I personally feel my favorite Ninja Turtle, and this is well documented in all of our other podcasts on Shell Shock. Donatello is my favorite character from all, but Corey Feldman will always have that Donatello voice to me. He always, like, every time I think of Donatello, I hear Corey Feldman's voice. And Corey Feldman was a big part of my youth, watching literally all of his movies growing up. Him and the two Coreys, and Goonies, and Stand By Me, and Dream a Little Dream, and stuff like that. And it's just like, I for a long time didn't even know it was Corey Feldman in the movie. I had to wait till I got a little bit older to actually put two and two together. But
Yeah.
I really thought that his voice was and will forever be Donatello's voice.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great as Donatello. He was very memorable as Donatello.
He just had that. He just had such a good voice for him, and I was happy to have him. He reprised his role in the third movie, so
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
But you could tell he was a little off in the third movie. He was just like, yeah, I'm just here for the paycheck, motherfucker.
Yeah, he was probably detoxing.
He probably was.
He was
He
the biggest
probably
drug
was.
addict ever.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to bash anybody.
Yeah. So the one thing this movie had was character, and that's something that we're going to be probably seeing a lot throughout this whole movie is the characters. The turtles themselves are the stars, 100%.
Yeah.
The turtles are the stars, and they show why they're the stars. And honestly, they captivate you with their family, with their brotherhood, with just the comic relief, or everything that it is for the turtles. We all know was there. It was just
and
an
it
adult
shines
thing.
on the differences between them.
And I
You know
think
what I
that's
mean?
a great thing. I think that's a great thing because in the cartoon they had their different personalities, but they're all goofballs.
Yeah,
As
they're
in
all
this one, they
fun-loving,
all
pizza-eating, crime-fighting, whooping butt Ninja Turtles. You
so
know what I mean? Like
in this movie,
one,
yeah,
you saw it. You got to see the difference between Raphael and Donatello, and you know what I mean, and Leonardo, Michelangelo. Like
yeah.
they were real teenagers of the '90s.
Yeah. And they were more directly from the counterparts of the comic book. They kind of took more of their personalities.
Yeah.
Because honestly, as kids, we wouldn't know.
I haven't read the original, so.
So I actually recently been going through the old stuff. So I just read like the first 12 issues, and I'll say in the first 6 issues they all kind of had the same personality. They were all dark and gritty, and they sounded like they were talking like Batman because that's how they described
You know what
it.
I think they were mad about? They didn't have cool bells
Yeah.
with their letter on the front.
Yeah. So in the movie, they kind of gave it. I think they kind of like singled out each one just to have more personality, and I think it worked in that way because everyone had their favorite. Everyone had their turtle.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did. I was thinking this before we even did the cast. I never once ever heard anybody in my 34 years of life ever say that Splinter was their favorite character in the Turtles.
You want to know something funny? In the 2012 series, I will clearly say Splinter was my favorite character.
Yeah, but that's a 2012 series. They
Yeah.
made him shine probably
he
more.
was so badass.
But like, I've never heard anybody like as a kid like, yes, I want to be Splinter. And like,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be Splinter.
But also the Splinter never really had like a full like role. He was the mentor. That was mainly his role. Like he had that He was the dad. He was the like. So the main focus was
Splinter
the
in this
turtles.
movie did nothing.
He flipped.
He mentored. He talked. Yes, and he had some
He
very
lect.
he had
He
some very
lectured Shredder
sentimental.
into killing himself.
Well, he didn't die. We know now through history he didn't die, even though he should have. Actually, technically, that garbage truck would have just scooped him right into the back.
Yeah.
It would have never crushed him like it made it believe. You know. What I mean?
I think and the funny thing is one thing I remember as a kid, like, oh, you saw the blood in the garbage truck, and then if I watch it now, you watch it now, it was paint. It was just red paint. It wasn't his blood squirting.
Not at all. That was some graphic shit. If so, and
I was like, holy shit, this is when
but
dark.
like Splinter, like his main focus was just to talk. You know what I mean? Like
He was
obviously he was a puppet. There was nobody inside of him. You know what I mean? It was just like a machine puppet. So I guess in order to save money, they probably made him like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't really do nothing except for really, like he just had some real hardcore, sentimental, meaningful, like shit to say and to persuade, like especially like Danny, you know what I mean, and when he was gone, and like he still had that impact when he was the spirit Splinter and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like he had some crazy dialogue in the movie, but he didn't do shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He really didn't. He sat there. He got hit in the head with some pizza. He got his ass whooped, chained up. Tatsu punched him in the face.
He was the
You know what
voice
I
of
mean?
reason, though.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, I guess he did more shit than what Zordon did. You know what I mean? So
You can't compare Splinter to Zordon, man. Fuck
I'm not.
Zordon.
I was not comparing him, but the ongoing thing that we have in our casts is with a mentor. Like a mentor has to do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the cartoon, Splinter kicked ass.
Yeah.
He fought. You saw him do this. You know what I mean? In all of these movies, from now into the third one, he did nothing.
Yeah. Wait, he did one thing.
I don't even think you saw his body in the third movie.
No, you didn't, because he was he was more of a head puppet. So what you saw was like the top part of his body, and that was it. As in the first two movies, it was a whole like body puppet. The third movie, it was just his body. Like he was kind of like like the puppeteer, like the puppet shows. Yeah, he was like pretty much like that.
See, because in this movie, when he stood up, it looks like his legs couldn't even hold him up.
No,
his legs were so skinny and scrawny.
Yeah, because even the fucking toy, the legs don't. Even the neck of toy don't carry him.
Splinter must have stank too, man. He looked like a homeless man.
He probably smelled. Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, or he just smelled like the incense and shit like that he used for meditating.
Well,
because that's all he did was meditate.
Yeah, he probably took a lot of psychedelics, fucking mushroom juice, oils and shit. You know what I mean?
So let's get into our turtles. They're fantastic in this movie. There's so many one-liners that are like memorable to this day. Like. This is one of the most. I say this was one of the most quoted movies of the Turtles. Period.
Yeah.
I feel like they had the most quotes in this movie, as in Ninja kicked the damn rabbit, as in Pizza Dude got 30 seconds and shit like that. That stay in your mind throughout my whole childhood. I fucking to this day, that Pizza Dude got 30 seconds. That whole forgiveness is divine. Never pay full price for late pizza.
I can literally. Word for word do the whole thing. You know what
that
I mean?
Shit is 100%. Like it makes sense, and it's like fuck you Domino's. I ain't paying full price for late pizza.
Like literally, if you, I know me and you definitely verbatim can reenact the entire movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, they had lines that stood out more, but the whole movie was written and dialogued very nicely.
Amazingly.
You know what I mean?
Amazingly, yeah.
Like they really took their time and made like the whole scene with when they went up into April's apartment.
Yeah.
And you see Michelangelo doing Cagney and shit like that, and he's like, "Oh, you dirty rat! You killed my brother! Oh, you dirty rat!" Ooh. And then April goes, "Oh, that must be Splinter's favorite." And they look at her like she's like, "What the fuck?"
You talk shit.
Because he was a dirty rat. He was a dirty rat.
He was.
You know what I mean?
He was. There was so many
Many moons
memorable
ago, I
lines.
had a bath. Many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
He probably never had a bath. They live in a fucking sewer, bro.
Man,
You know what I mean?
I think most of our our names for homeless people at work is it's all based on Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, well, yo, the Mato Squishy especially.
Yeah,
You know
give
what
a
I mean?
lot of squishy.
He's
I don't want to go
he's
like
badass.
verbatim, like from scene to scene with the movie, but
Well, if you guys wanted to hear verbatim, we do have another cast on this.
yes,
You guys can go and check that out.
yeah,
But we thought, in order to honor the legacy of the Ninja Turtles, because we are coming to the end of the movies and we will be diving in to the television shows, we felt it was right to go back and really give a good
yes,
review. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So that other cast is out there, and that was our first cast of this.
Yeah.
So we do apologize if there's any type of. We were drunk. we were having such a good
Yeah.
time on it, but that is out there for you to listen to if you want to listen verbatim of what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
It is there.
and but like again, we talk about like how fun like the Turtles were and shit like that. One of my favorite scenes is when Mikey's watching the TV. And I say this all the time. Ninja kicked the damn rabbit, but
Yeah, it was
they were
the
watching
famous-
the tortoise in the hair. He's like, "Oh man, you let him run by you."
You know, and as I get older watching it, I catch more and more things. You know,
Yeah.
like when the foot soldiers come in and they're, you know, they fly, you know, Raphael goes through the window, and they all start jumping in and start hitting the floor with all the axes and stuff like that. Me being
Yeah.
a sushi guy now, you know what I mean? Like when they're turtle, you know, the turtles are rolling on the ground, they're like, oh, California roll.
Yeah.
Like I get that now. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. You know what I mean? And I mean, I love the one-liners, but the more and more I get older, it's just the more and more of the visuals and the more and more of like the way it was filmed. Like it was such ahead of its time.
Yeah, this
It
movie,
really-
yeah, it was like
Like the whole basement scene of that when the foot soldiers come in and they're using all the stuff from the antique store.
yeah,
Like that was geniusly choreographed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was so good and it was so nice and like I get goosebumps thinking about it.
yeah, like they had some really memorable scenes. Like I like a lot of them. Like in the beginning of the movie, we had the Donatello Mikey talk about Spencer not being there anymore, and then they have the whole thing with the pizza. Pizza got 30 seconds, but it was like
Yeah,
Mikey
sort of
didn't-
that sort of foreshadowed that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like eventually one day Splinter's not going to be around.
Yeah, and Mikey was kind of ignoring it because that's something he doesn't really want to think about. But Donatello Donatello is the thinker of the turtles.
He's the intellectual.
He's the one that's always trying to make something up and stuff like that. You don't see it that much in this movie, but you kind of see it in what he thinks and how he thinks.
Yeah, he wasn't the techie Ninja Turtle
Yeah.
of what he was portrayed to be in the cartoon.
Exactly.
You know
So-
what I mean? He was a logical thinker
yeah.
in an illogical world.
Yes. So him like talking to Mikey about it, like Mikey was probably the wrong person to talk about because he did. But then again, I always had. This is one thing I kind of bring in, and this is beyond the movie and whatnot. We were talking about the Last Ronin comic book that's coming out the 28th this month. Definitely check it out because it looks pretty fucking badass. And you were saying that Donatello might be the turtle. I'm going with Mikey. I think Mikey makes the most sense, as in
I just feel like
he has the
Well,
most
I'm
to
gonna
lo-
let you finish, and I'll I'll tell you my rebuttal. to
Mikey
it.
has the most to lose and the most to show. Like he has the most to improve. So Mikey, being the character he has the most to lose. Mikey has unconditional love for all his brothers. He's the backbone of. I will say Mikey's the backbone of the Turtles, 100%. He's the one that keeps them all together. He's the one that keeps the comedy and laughter there. If it's not for him, like a lot of them will be on their own if it wasn't Mikey keeping them together. And I think Mikey gets outshadowed that if you don't really think about it. Mikey is the backbone of the Ninja Turtles.
Well,
Him losing all his brothers Imagine him losing all his brothers and him being that close to all the brothers and him losing his brothers. It would give him the depression state. It makes the most sense if that's Mikey.
Well, I can see that, but my rebuttal to that and the reason why I don't think it's going to be Michelangelo is because Michelangelo is the fan favorite. I don't care what anybody says on this planet, regardless of who your favorite is, Michelangelo is the standalone, he's the poster boy for the Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? He was always the fun dude. He is. You know what I mean? Everybody fucking likes Michelangelo. I know a million people out there. And I think that is the reason why it won't be him. Because it makes it a logical choice that Michelangelo would be it. You know what I mean? It's definitely not going to be Leo, and it's definitely not going to be Raphael. I know that. There's no way them two can do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be... like, they already cleared out...
To make a good story, it shouldn't be them.
Like, honestly, like, even because I'm actually caught up with the current comic books and stuff like that and how that comic book is going, it makes me understand it more being Mikey. Raph and Leo, no. I think Raph and Leo will be the first ones at war with anybody, and those are the first two will go. Donatello, I just think the one thing that just got me with this turtle is that he has no tech on him. If it's Donatello, he will have something robotic on him. He relies on, especially in the comic book wise and how they write him. Like even when he died the first time, he has like a fucking robotic pacemaker on the shell, and he has like a little assistant and shit. So he's more robotic and more like into. He reminds me, honestly, if Donatello was a villain, he reminds me of Octo Octavius. Just how he connects how he connects technology with his body.
Now, is this story a continuation from the current comic?
So it is like, you remember when Marvel did like the End Marvel, or like the End Punisher, or the End Wolverine kind of thing?
Yeah, I remember.
So they did comics like that. So this is kind of like similar to that in that style, but it's I think the story itself is based on the past of the comic book of IDW more than anything, but it's going to go into a future of a turtle. Well, the one thing I give them a lot of credit though, it makes you think. It makes you like really think about which turtle it is, because everyone has their guess. Everyone has like that. They are not telling you who it is, and I don't think they're going to tell you who it is until the last issue.
Well, I'm interested to see where it goes.
Me too.
What's gonna go?
Me too. But I have I like just really thinking about it, and just really like I've watched so many sources of what Ninja Turtles are. I read the original comics. I read a lot of the later comics. I read even the Image shit that was fucking weird and Wildcat like, and kind of everyone's like overly muscled and shit like that. And it just makes like Mikey always been the Joker. He always been the funny one. He's always been the kid one. He's always been the irresponsible one. He was always the one that's behind. But if you ever really look at anything that's coronation of Ninja Turtles, he was always kind of the backbone of the team. Without him, the brothers will not be together. I will say that, especially with everything I've read. Without Mikey there, the Turtles won't be together.
Well, he does bring the human aspect out of them. You know what I mean? He calms Raphael down, and he centers Leo a little bit. You know what I mean?
And he's the sidekick to Donatello.
We're always like tag team duos, bro.
Yeah, like in the movie, especially in this movie. I assume we go back right into this movie. Donatello and Mikey were like a Batman and Robin. In this movie, most of the funniest scenes were dumb too. And honestly, like shout out to NECA doing the movie Turtles and the toy figures and shit like that. They did an accessory pack, and I was like, I don't need that accessory pack and shit like that. And until I saw the fucking bag of pork rinds, I was like, yeah, I need that fucking shit now, because I need to have Donatello and Mikey eating the pork rinds.
I was looking up a whole bunch of shirts, and they have shirts on TeePublic.
Yeah.
And it has a turtle facing, the shell facing with all the colors, and
Yeah.
it says the last one. So
Yeah.
I feel like that one is going to be for the current comic that's coming
Yeah.
out.
I can't wait for that one. Like, it looks really good. It comes out the 28th, so if you
Well, I'm
wanna
intrigued.
look
Your
into that.
excitement makes me excited about it. So
Yeah.
I'll
It
definitely
makes me
dive down
interested.
into that.
But going back to this movie, like, again, like Donatello, Mikey were probably had the funniest scenes in this movie. They were very, I think all the turtles itself, like, it gives you the feel of what the brotherhood is and how they joke around and stuff like that. And Raph kind of being the loner, but he still adapts to his brothers, especially towards the end of the movie. But Raph is always an independent turtle. He's the one that meets Casey Jones. They get into a memorable fight. Like, that's probably one of the famous scenes from this movie is when them two fight, and I think that's what created the love of Casey Jones, because honestly, Casey Jones sucked in the cartoon. If you try to prove me wrong with he sucking in the cartoon,
I'm gonna
go
be
fuck
honest.
yourself.
I only remember specific episodes,
Yeah.
those couple episodes. So I'm actually happy to go dive back down into that.
Yeah.
But that whole fighting scene is one of the best scenes in the whole movie, especially after like Casey Jones gets the upper hand on him. You know, he does the cricket, knocks
Yeah.
him into the garbage can, and then he runs after him. And one of the best lines that I always love in this movie is when he's trying to catch up to Casey and he
Yeah.
rolls over the hood of the car, and the guy in the back seat was like, "What was that?" The cab driver's like, "It looked like a big turtle in a trench coat
Yeah.
going to LaGuardia, right?" Like it's New York, so he's like not surprised to see some crazy shit.
And
You
the
know
fun
what I mean?
fact, there's a big fun fact with that. That was the voice of Raphael in the back of the cab.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That was the voice of Raphael, and the guy in the back of the cab, that was Raphael.
Oh, the guy who voiced him.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that actually makes sense because I just IMDb'd it.
Yeah. So when he did the role, what the hell was that? The guy that said, "What the hell was that?" That was the voice of Raphael. If you actually notice throughout the movie, the guys that voiced the turtles were in different parts. Mikey, the voice of Mikey was the Domino's delivery guy.
The guy that was standing there,
The one that put the
the
pizza.
tab's 15.
Yeah, that was Mikey.
This is 12. The tab's 15. You're 3 minutes late, dude. Oh, come on. What was the address? A little trivia for you.
122 and an 8.
122 and an eighth, I think.
8.
8. 122 and an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that was just scenes.
122 and an 8.
I just, like, I see, like, Raphael, and I've said this in a million casts, like, I feel like all the movies are, like, a focal point on him.
Yes, and we actually, honestly, I think we do a really good explanation for it, too. And if you go, if everybody, all the listeners listening right now, go and check, like, every single movie has a continuation of, like, the evolution of Raphael, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it even goes to the Michael Bay ones. They all kind of like, I think Raphael is one of the few turtles that actually has like, so he's one of my favorite turtles, and like I always had he's my name and shit. So these are why I kind of have a little bias to him. And then Leonardo, like I like Leonardo a lot now because my great nephew is Leonardo. But anyway. Raphael has a certain appeal to him. He has that he pretty much acts like a regular teenager. He goes through like what every teenager has ever felt before.
It's called puberty.
Yeah, he goes through it. So he has that ability. Like you could understand where Raph is coming from. And you can understand where he's going and what his mentality is, especially when he's stuck somewhere that he don't want to be.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got a text. Say that again, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's one of the great things about the Raph, and then you see the evolution of Raph and how he kind of calms down with his anger. Even in going into the third movie, he kind of teaches someone about not being so angry all the time and things like that. Like he has anger problems. He's Splinter's trying to teach him how to do it, and it goes to show like if he wasn't like if he was like how he wasn't chosen for the leader and things like that, which they go into later on with the other movies, but it makes a lot of sense is the fact that he goes through a lot of emotionals and a lot of issues and things like that. But he's also very protective of his brothers. He's also the first one like protecting his family. When Spencer was gone, he was the first one to fucking overreact and go crazy about it too. And that was the first thing he wanted to do as well.
He's got all that built up.
Yeah. But I like Raph. I think Raph is the focal point of a lot of these movies. Is the fact that he has something that everyone could relate to.
Yeah.
He has that anger as a teenager. He has that feeling not wanted or feeling like lost. It's
classic middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's really what it is. I can relate to that all day long. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he just, the continual thing with him is learning how to cope with it.
Yes.
Learning that he doesn't need to be fucking renegade all the time, and it doesn't have to be tough all the time.
Yeah.
And like with Mikey, like you were saying before, like Mikey definitely does bring out like a fun side to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when he wakes up in the tub and everybody's all grateful and stuff like that, you can see the major change in him in this movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he's at an all-time low, and he wakes up.
Yeah.
From basically being in a coma.
Yeah.
To seeing like all his brothers around, and he senses that something's going on with Splinter, and you know what I mean? Like he definitely went through a lot, but then he continues through the movies. He's still a dick through all the fucking movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
But in the end, he kind of like joined the brothers, and he just went with them, and it just made the team again, and it just showed the like they need all four brothers to be as strong. If they don't have all four, they're not strong enough.
Yeah.
And that was something I always liked about this movie, especially like
there's no one turtle above the crew.
Yeah, they need the team to be as strong as they are. And that's something that's it always like loved. I always loved about that. Like, the fight scenes in this movie were incredible. Like for them dudes to be doing kick ups and roundhouse kicks and flying and doing drop kicks and shit like that in those suits, which I know for a fact weighed about 65 to 70 pounds. I give you respect. You get all the respect.
Those fighting scenes that have a shell on your back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would just get in the way of everything. Like, they must have trained their asses off in order to really choreograph their fights.
Yeah, they had a really... I know they did the fight choreography. I know for a fact they filmed a lot of those, and they kept going back and forth with it. Just because... Just because... like whenever they did everything with the fight choreograph and shit like that, I remember reading I think the magazine was called Black Belt magazine. It was like all about martial arts and shit like that, and they actually had an interview with the stunt choreographers of the first Ninja Turtles and the second Ninja Turtles. It was the same people, and they said the hardest things were to do were the kick up with the suit. Because they said the fact that this weighed 65 pounds. So imagine doing a kick up on your own and you have more upper body. You cannot do it. You need a balance of your weight in order to do it. Imagine having 65 pounds on your back and trying to jump up from the floor.
Yeah, no, I can barely get up off my bed, let alone do any of that. But then again, I'm sort of round.
Yeah. But
all those fight scenes, man. Like I wish Tatsu would have fought a little bit more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I feel like they didn't utilize him at all. Like I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he just grunted a lot and he just struck fear in people. Like I wanted to see him perform. Yeah. Like you saw him beat the crap out of a teenager, one little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like.
Never bow your head to your enemy.
He just
Got his
picked on
ass
little
whooped,
kids.
man. I know. It's like, yo, you're a big boy because you're training a teenager how to fight, and
Yeah.
obviously, and he showed him up. Like, yo, he blocked everything and he did good. But he was just like, I want to see him in like a real like. Even in the second movie, he didn't fight. He didn't do
Yeah.
shit in the second movie.
Yeah. And then Shredder too.
Shredder only fought at the end.
We made a good explanation for that. He was like, he's still recovering from that the garbage truck crushing him. He's like, yo, he was just talk this shit, and you want to fight? He's like, oh fuck.
Fuck, man.
Like, my back.
Don't let them know I got 3 herniated discs.
My back, my leg. I can't.
I'm gonna
move
have to take these steroids in order to fight.
Exactly. That's why he took the mutant gene. That's the only way he was able to fight.
But even in the first movie, he really didn't do much. You know what I mean? He just stood there and he struck fear. His presence was fear. You know what I mean?
But
like,
he had followers. He had like all these fucking teenagers doing his biddings and stealing fucking TVs and.
I'm sorry, if I was a teenager, I'd be like, who the fuck is this guy?
But if he's giving you a place where you could do whatever the fuck you want, and then all you have to do is just steal a couple things, I can see a lot of kids doing that shit.
Bro, they stole a lot of shit.
Yeah, exactly. But
they climbed up fire escapes to steal an old lady's television.
he pulled that shit from the cord.
That is, yo, that was such a styrofoam television, too. You can tell that thing. There's no way, and those TVs were heavy back in the day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That boy must have had some super strength.
Yeah.
But you can also tell there was a difference between the kids and the actual foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the foot had more Japanese-esque to him. You know what I mean? Like even the one that smacked April in the face in the subway. He didn't sound like a teenager. Teenagers don't sound like that. I'm here to deliver a message. Shut it. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a teenager doing that. That was a grown-ass man who slapped April in the face.
Yeah. Do you know how much shit that would have gotten if it came out today? Oh man, I love the fight scenes in this movie. I think they all like had fun. It was just a fun fight scene, like Raph in the train station fucking up the foot soldiers, and saving April O'Neil to the one in her antique store, and them coming down. The fella with Chaka, hey, and just that whole series.
Like the score of that just was like. You know what I mean? Like, yo, the score is what also made it, too. Because, like, when they were fighting, they just had such a dope soundtrack in the background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it made it fun.
Yeah, it had a great soundtrack and all the way to the end. Like, even
like
that last song.
Raphael's fight on the rooftop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that alone where you see him getting tired, and it's like he's bending over and his back's hurting. You know what I mean? Like, it was just put together so well, man. Like, They really, really did their thing.
Yeah.
They definitely did.
I love this movie.
And for such a short budget, too. You know what I mean?
This movie was fantastic. I love everything about this movie. Like, we could keep going and going and going with this movie, and, like, all we have to do is just say good things about it because we love this movie. This movie's fantastic.
Man, just the shadow. Like, I'm such a shadow figure person kind of guy. Like, I live in the dark.
Yeah.
I work at night. I sleep during the day. My room is dark. If my light was off right now, it'd be dark as shit in here. You know what I mean? Like, I get that. And, like, the whole esque of Shredder, he was never seen in the light, really. It was always just dark and shadowy.
Yeah.
With, like, a little spotlight on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was, oh my god, it was so good. That, like, the whole fight scene, like I said, in the basement of the antique store, the main floor.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was so good, man.
It was good.
Everything about the warehouse. You know what I mean? The warehouse just looked fucking cool. That would be a place that I would have hung out in.
Yeah.
I would have been there. Puffing cools and fucking drinking Budweisers. You know what I mean?
With young Sam Rockwell.
Hell yeah, me and him would have probably been best friends.
Yeah. He'd give you some of his fortune.
What, menthol or regular?
I think this movie like really sparked the love I have for Ninja Turtles. It really just took even watching this movie as a kid, it gave me the full love of Turtles. As I watched it when I'm older, it makes me more of a fan. as I watch it even now. I'm more a fan. I love this movie every single time I watch it. I find more things to love about it. Like it's just a lot of things that they did so good. And this is not that it's not that like it's like very complicated either. It's like a little simple things that they do in this movie that just make this movie what it is. And
it was a well thought out movie.
Yeah. It's I think it's the personalities, it's the characters, it's what they did in this movie. It had this action, it had this comedy, it had everything in between. It had, and like if you can go into what we know now of like superhero movies and like the MCU and things like that, what do they do with most of their movies? They have action, comedy, story. This was one of the first ones. This was one of the first comic book movies. Like honestly, I will say should be top 5 comic book movies of all time. Just the fact that it brought a style and a time that all comic book movies were shit.
It would definitely be on the Mount Rushmore of comic book movies.
I think so too. It would be like the Abraham Lincoln hit.
Yeah, or Theodore Roosevelt.
I don't know. Fuck it. It would be on the right side. It would be the first one.
Well, technically, the whole Mount Rushmore could just be each individual turtle.
Right?
So.
Yeah. Like, I think
that'd be a cool shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I will, like, to give this movie a verdict, it's going to get a verdict of a perfect movie. Like, to me, I love this movie. I could watch this.
I think the movie is completely flawless.
Like, it's everything you want in an intro movie and more. Like, it gives you everything.
Even the love aspect between Casey and April. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? That was the only thing.
The flirtatious thing between them, though, because they are similar personalities.
She was such an asshole to him. I'm like, God damn. He just saved your ass, and he told you, like, he heard a message, and you just fucking grill his ass about it. Yeah, it's not his fault you got fired.
But now the thing is, he was already pissing her off before that.
Yeah, that's true.
So in her defense, she took it out on him because he was already foam dome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, toots and all that.
No,
you know
that was after.
That was after?
That was after. So she wasn't ready yet, Matt. She already didn't like him as first in the beginning.
Yeah, they were fighting like a married couple. But, but he cheated so good. He forced her ass in that seat and gave her a massage, and that was it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Told her, shut up.
It's like, that's a man right there. He's like, me and my sweatpants. That's all he wore was fucking sweatpants. You never saw him in anything else.
Damn right. Because probably he only owned that one pair of
sweatpants. I want to know if that house is still there, that farmhouse.
I don't know. Like, I know for a fact that was filmed, that part of that movie was filmed in North Carolina.
Okay.
It wasn't upstate New York. It was in the South Carolina. It was North Carolina.
I assumed that it was upstate New York too, right?
It was a mix because a lot of it was filmed in New York, but there was a lot of pieces and shit that was filmed in Cleveland or some shit. So, movie magic, they make everything look the same. But yeah, like to give this movie a verdict, I would give it a perfect score. I would give it a 5, and I'll give it a 5+ because every time I watch it, I find things more that I love about it, and I just enjoy it every single time. Like, it's a movie that I could watch. I could watch from time to time and just enjoy the hell out of it. And it's a rarity to me to watch a movie a second time, unless I really miss stuff and shit like that. Unless it's like MCU kind of shit like that or something that I'm really into. But to watch TMNT as many times I've watched it, and enjoy it every single time, that's a legendary. It goes into the category legendary. That's it.
Yeah, I can't even put a round number to how many times I've seen this movie. Yeah. It would be it would be impossible. It's been a continuous movie throughout every stage of my life.
Yeah. I
probably watched it 100 times as a kid. I've probably watched it almost the same amount of times. Well, maybe not. 100 can be exaggerated because you know that's a lot of hours. But if I were to say, I probably watch it maybe 2 or 3 times a year now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because I see, oh shit, it's back on Netflix. Boom. Popping on. You know what I mean? No, number two was definitely up there with me with that, watching it a lot because I had both of them on VHS. You know what I mean? And I can remember the exact way the VHS tapes looked. You know what I mean? It was just a
Yeah.
black screen. It was just a black casing, and it was just the turtles standing at the bottom. I remember it. It was so good.
Yeah, like this movie stands the test of time. I think it gets better. I think it gets better as you get older. Simple as that. It's like a fine
Well,
wine.
I catch more and more as
Yeah.
as I get older. 'Cause I didn't know who Cagney was back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't appreciate like certain things. I didn't catch the adult humor in it. You know what I mean? I didn't like you look at it differently as an adult than you do as a kid because the veil hasn't been taken off of your eyes yet. We're tax paying adults now, have to work our asses off to do everything. To sit back and feel like a kid for a second, but then actually get the adultness in movies and like, wow, this movie really is genius.
Yeah. But yeah.
And to see that they can't even duplicate this shit,
No.
man.
This is hard. Like, you know what? Like, the thing is, I kind of stopped hoping for a movie that could be as good as the first because
I'm never giving up.
I don't think nothing could be as good as the first because of what the parameters was and what they were able to do with this movie, and the fact that it was an independent movie, so they were able to get away with more than what most movies would be able to do if it wasn't under an independent label. Like, they did everything they could, and they made these turtles come to life for us, and like really made them feel like they were real. And
The problem is they're gonna make every Turtles movie a cheesy kid movie.
they have to because they gotta sell toys.
Yes, I
'Cause this
understand that.
So this is
But
the first
kids
thing.
aren't buying NECA toys, bro.
Yo, so
Adults
this
are buying NECA toys.
so this is the first movie that did not have a toy line. The reason why
Well,
they
they,
were
they
too
already
violent.
had the little turtle toys though from the cartoon.
No,
out.
they did. They had the turtles. They didn't have the movie toys. No, they didn't have none.
Well,
They
I never said the movie. I said
Yeah.
the from the cartoon. They still had the toys
no,
out.
but this is the first. This is the only movie that did not have a toy line with the Playmates toys. Part 2 and Part 3 had a toy line. Part 1 did not have a toy line whatsoever because this movie was too violent. Again, they wanted to make a movie. They didn't want to make a toy commercial. They wanted to show you the turtles. They want to show you the personality of the turtles. They didn't care about the toys. They didn't care about you buying toys and things like that for this movie. And that's the big difference of what this movie is and to what everything in the future is going to be. They're going to try to sell them toys. They're going to try to sell you a new version of the turtles and everything like that. This movie did not have to. And I think that's what makes it unique. That's what makes it special, and that's what makes it as good as it is.
When I watch old movies as an adult, I tend to try and think of with like the props and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Things that were in the movie that make the movie. Like I tend to try and think of where they could be at today. Like the drawings of the turtles.
Yeah.
Those were actual pictures. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I wonder where they are. Do you think, like, Sony owns it? Like, a private collector just spent, like, $1 million on Donatello inside the truck? You know what I mean?
Those paintings were drawn by Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, but they have to be somewhere because that's art.
They own
what I
them.
mean?
He owns them.
He owns them? Well,
Yeah.
he just recently tried, he keeps trying to sell the first picture drawn of the
He
Ninja
probably-
Turtles ever.
I honestly
He's still
feel
trying to sell that shit.
I feel like he sold them already. Like he have sold them, or they were sold, or honestly they could have been part of like the screen like the screenshots shit like that, and how they had the movie board and shit like that. That also could have been part of that as well.
Yeah, because I can see those pictures being in, like, the Smithsonian or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, to really document humanity in certain times and decades and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like, one of those pictures of, like, of Leo sitting next to Raphael in the tub, looking
Yeah.
all slunched over. You know what I mean? Like, that is such an iconic photo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can see that
Yeah.
being hung up in there. You know what I mean? It would
yeah.
look really good in my bedroom. That's all I know. Nice frame.
It's crazy. Like, where you gonna grade this movie? as I just said my verdict and everything like
It's a
that.
5, bro.
Yeah, it's a 5.
If it's a 1 to 5, it would be a 6 if I had to
Yeah.
really, because I still try and pick out. I can nitpick about a couple of things, you know what I mean? Like, but it's really not that it does not resonate. It really
Yeah.
doesn't even hold up the little things I can nitpick.
Same
about,
here.
You know?
Same here.
Like,
Like
I said
this.
thing about like Tatsu. Like Tatsu, like
Yeah.
I would like to see him fight more. He did
Yeah.
nothing but beat up a teenager. I would like to see what he was capable of
Yeah.
doing. But that is not anything that, you know, has against his presence in the movie, because
Yeah.
he was more of a scare factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted to see, you know what I mean? Like I want to see what happens to Danny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He probably has a lot of mental issues as fucking time goes
Yeah.
on.
He met a bunch of turtles. He's seeing a therapist now.
You know what I mean?
Who knows? Like, there's a lot of things in this movie that, like, honestly, there were like, if I had to like go like really directly into it, there were little nitpicks here and there. There's just consistency of the story, but other than that, I think this movie was amazing. Like, honestly, no movie is flawless into making a movie. So, and going into that, this movie did a lot just in characteristics of the turtles. This, I think, made what we know the turtles are. Like the cartoon, even the cartoon didn't do it as much as this movie did. Like when we saw this movie, we knew exactly who the turtles are. We knew exactly their attitudes and their mentalities and their personalities, and you know who's who. I feel like in the cartoon you didn't really get that 100%, but in this
They weren't
movie,
too diverse. They had just little small little things that really changed them around.
Exactly. So from this movie, I feel like you got everything, and then honestly, to this day, like this is where their personality traits come from. Where they come from is from this movie,
Yeah.
and then probably some of the best Jim Henson work ever.
That
them suits.
great scoring. You know what I mean?
This
Great
music was great. It was a movie from its time. It sounded like something from its
Well,
time.
the movie was obviously filmed in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like 88 to 89, it probably took a couple years to film it. You know what I mean? Maybe a year to film it or so. It's not like movies nowadays where they get mass thrown out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes 3 months to film a movie. This probably took a while. You know what I mean? To film this.
I remember like I just
That's
seeing,
what I loved about the 80s, man. The
Yeah.
80s, they actually built shit, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They actually built the sets and they built the scenes, and that's what makes all the movies great. Like nowadays, it's just too much CG.
Yeah.
You get rid of that CG factor. I mean, maybe the attention spans of kids ain't that good these days. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're so like everything's thrown at them so much that they're not wowed by shit anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's like
this
out of
one-
the shadows, they had to be humongously, you know, they didn't look good. You know what I mean? Like in every rendition of the Turtles, except for the animated one, the Turtles Forever.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the best Turtles movie since the second movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this movie is legendary. It's a legendary movie. It's gonna be in the Red Cyclone Inc. Hall of Fame of movies. This is the first one to be inducted into that. Like, of every bullshit movie I have watched throughout the last year, especially 2020 of us going through the video game movies and then us watching the Star Wars and things like that, this is honestly by far my favorite movie I have watched, and I still watch it to this day.
I probably agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I can't recall watching another movie that we're casting on
Yeah.
that has me like this. Now, it's not my favorite movie of all time.
It
No,
don't have
it's
to be.
not.
It's mine.
It doesn't need to be my favorite movie of all time.
No.
But it's there. It's
Yeah.
definitely in the 10 squad. Like I'm hardcore into like a lot of other movies, but
Yeah.
like this right here, like yeah, it's up there. It's a masterpiece, bro.
Yeah.
It's up there with a Shawshank in its own sense, where
Yeah.
Shawshank is a cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
This is a masterpiece in its own right.
This is something that like I'm very proud I was able to share with my nieces. I was able to share with my nephews. I was able to share with my great nephew. When he first came down here, I watched Turtles 1 with him, and he enjoyed the hell out of it. And that's something that always brings this movie to my heart. Is this something I want to introduce to all the kids in my life? Like, even my godson, I watched this with my godson. I watched this with my nephew, Mateo. Shout out to all my little demons. Y'all know who y'all are. These are movies that I watch with them, and I make sure they watch it and just get to reminisce. And this is usually one of their favorites. I remember my niece Beba and Jordy always requesting to watch this every single weekend they were with us, just to watch this movie. So seeing that and going into that makes me like just a proud uncle in that sense. So,
well, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
you know,
that
this
and
is your
Animaniacs.
job to usher in what was good in the past. You know what I mean? These movies have to go forever, and I don't see this movie subsiding at any time. You know what I mean? There's going to be 100th anniversary one day of this movie, and it's going to usher in a whole new fanfare of people, because they're going to watch it and be like, wow, that movie came out 100 years ago? That shit was badass.
Damn right. Yeah, like, we cannot say more about this movie. We love this movie. This is one of our favorites. We just wanted to make a cast that just showed our love for this movie and without the flaws.
It was well needed, man. It definitely was well needed.
So I just wanted to make a double check that you know for a fact we love this movie. This is one of the best Ninja Turtle movies ever. It is the best Ninja Turtles movie ever. If you want to watch it right now on if you have HBO Max or HBO, it's on there. All the Turtle movies are on there, so definitely check it out on there.
They're on YouTube as well.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. You can buy it on. You can rent it. You could do it like that. But I know for streaming wise, it is on HBO right now. It used to be on Netflix. It wasn't on. It's not on Netflix.
It's not on Netflix right now.
No, so it's HBO
I didn't even
Max.
bother to check. So
yeah, I went because I wanted to watch it one more time, and then my cat Loki watched like the whole movie, and that surprised the shit out of me because she actually was really into it. She was actually
she's
watching
licking
it.
her lips for turtle soup.
Yes. She probably.
Do you
wanted to
like
eat that.
penicillin on your pizza?
This movie has so many one-liners. It has so many like
It
line
ices.
quotes.
It slices.
Yeah, it has so many quotes. It has so many fun memories. It has so many fun like bits and pieces. And the turtles look dope. And April was cool. And Casey Jones kicked ass. And that was probably
Now,
the
was
only.
Eastman and Laird? Did they make any cameo? I don't recall them making a cameo.
I
in this
think
movie.
no. I don't think they made a cameo. I don't think they made a cameo. But I know for a fact they had they were part of the writing crew, and they wrote the script for the movie itself.
Well, if they are listening by any chance, thank
I
you.
want to tag them on this movie because tag them on this podcast because I want them to know the love we have for this movie. Sadly, nothing could beat it. Like, I don't think anything could come close because the time it came out and what it was. It's fantastic. Watch it. Watch it with your loved ones. Watch it with your kids.
I also like to thank New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
For actually
Give it a chance.
They took a lot of risks, man.
Yeah.
They definitely did. They took a lot of risks.
Yeah, man.
Just in other movies, like I said in the beginning of the cast, Freddy Krueger is what
Blade.
saved them. Well, Blade
No,
reamped
but
them
like
up.
the movies. If you think about the movies that they took a risk on, Blade was one of them.
Well, I guess they like.
They like to play. The Mask was one of them.
Well, The Mask is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah, I love that movie. This movie is fantastic. Everyone should watch it. Show your loved ones, show your kids, show your great grandkids or your grandkids.
Show your kids, show your husband, show your wives.
Show everybody this movie. This movie's fantastic. We need another.
Watch it with your pet turtle.
Watch it with your pet turtle. Watch it with your pet cat. My cat loved it. Enjoy it.
Set up a bunch of teddy bears for all I give a shit. Just watch
Enjoy it. Enjoy this movie because the movie is fantastic, and there's nothing more I can say about it.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, this is I guess we'll wrap it up.
It's so sad to hear those words.
Yeah.
It's just because I could go all day. On
Yeah,
this
we could
movie.
go
I
all
really
day.
can. All day.
We could go all day with this, and this is an amazing cast. So definitely check it out, please. This is the Oz Shell Shock podcast. You could catch us on all social medias of Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Instagram, Twitch TV, and YouTube. All Mark with the Mic. Find us on the Facebook pages, the Wrestling Link and the Wrestling Babble. We are very active on there. Pretty much check them out as much as you can. We are planning to have a Apple Podcast and Spotify account. It may be coming out sometime next week or following. So be aware, and follow, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and give us 5 stars, or I'll find you.
I will ninja kick
I will
the damn
find
rabbit.
And follow Recycle Link on all those same social medias: Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, WordPress, Facebook, the Recycle Link page, and they have a YouTube as well, and SoundCloud. All Mark with the Mic and Recycle Link. Follow Tenacious T.
Yes, follow me on Twitter, please. Nobody follows me. I just want some followers, please. But it's Tenacious TRC Inc. on Twitter.
Yes.
You can follow me on my personal Instagram page, which is T_DA_tots, TOTS. You can come and check us out at Grand Central Terminal. At nighttime, anytime you like, wear your damn mask, come and talk to us. We will do everything in our power not to work. So just come in and bullshit with us, please. Always a shout out to Game On, retro video game store based out on Long Island, located in 2 different locations, one in Smithtown, one in Miller Place. Satisfying all your retro video game needs. Everything from nowadays PS4 to Xbox One, because they are now starting to wave them out because the new generation of consoles will be coming out, but they don't necessarily specify in that specifically. They are more into the retro, everything from Atari to handhelds to nomads to everything you can think of. Go in there. They got arcade games. You can just go in there. You don't even have to spend $1. Go in there and play some video games. Go talk to Tristan and Jay.
Yes.
Very good peoples. Always a beacon in my community. So, shouts out to them.
I was actually going to tell you, next time you go, check if they have that. I saw it on their post. They had the TMNT.
Oh yeah, they got Hyperstone.
No,
Is that what you're talking about?
They had the Xbox One Turtles game.
Okay. Well, I gotta go to Smithtown actually today because Jay has to fix my DS.
So I was gonna ask you to see if they have the PS4 version, and maybe if they have 2. So maybe you could grab it and we could Twitch that.
Okay. Yeah. I have to go to Smithtown today, and that would actually be my first time going there.
Yeah.
So just send me the picture of it, and I'll see if they got it.
Oh, cool.
They said the PS4 one, right?
PS4 one, yeah.
All right. Check that out.
All right, man.
But shouts out to the Max, and shouts out to my boy Jerry, Mind of an Artist. He's coming out with his own clothing line called Drugs and Demons. Check him out on his Instagram pages as well of Mind of an Artist and Drugs and Demons.
Yep. I always remember, this is not Power Rangers, but fuck Zordon.
Yeah, always fuck Zordon, man. I'm gonna get a shirt made just saying fuck Zordon.
We might have to
and
put
say Red Cyclone Ink at the end of it.
F and then the dash marks and shit. You can't just say fuck on a t-shirt. We want to sell it to the kids.
I definitely can write fuck Zordon.
We can, but we don't want to.
No, you do the little asterisks.
Yeah, exactly. You do that. Like, fuck Zordon. Yeah, exactly.
Or just do $, semicolon, and this and that. You know what I mean? Just make it. You know what I mean when I say fuck Zordon. Right?
Last but not least, follow all our other podcasts. We have the Not a Trekkie, we have the Morphin Cast, we have the Game of Rage podcast, the Oz Shell Shock. We all have new episodes on there, so check all those out. We do have the Recycling It Gets Better Swear podcast and the Wrestling Battle podcast weekly, every Sunday live or on Monday on SoundCloud. So peace out, laters.